Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. I realise there's lots of demands on teachers at the moment due to COVID, so I really appreciate your time. I'm Melanie Simpson. I'm a Uniting Kindergarten Inclusion Support Consultant working in the northeastern region of Melbourne. If you aren't familiar with KIS Consultancy program, in short, it's available to all early childhood services who are receiving KIS funding for a child or children are attending the service. The aim of the consultancy program is to continue to support teachers and services to provide inclusive educational programs to all children who attend the service. You may know my colleague, Tani Aiken. Tani and I are currently using video to support services accessing consultancy during this time because we can't go on site. Perhaps you've even seen our videos. I encourage you to have a look if you haven't seen them yet. The aim of the videos is to explore the challenges and the opportunities that are coming up as part of COVID, and to provide some practice ideas and some pathways forward. There's no doubt that so much is different since COVID emerged. COVID has dramatically impacted on our lives, our health, our economic systems, and our lives have basically been turned upside down. It's been stressful for everyone, and the stresses on individuals and families include, just to name a few, joblessness, homeschooling, separation from our friends and families, and of course fears for our own and others' health. And of course there's more to that. How we cope with stress is different for everyone, but communities are seeing increases in mental health issues, reportings of domestic violence, and also there's high sales in alcohol. So I guess, what does this dramatic upheaval mean for us as teachers working with young children? I guess the key word here is stress. Many children may be experiencing high levels of stress in their homes at the moment, and maybe even those children in normally high-functioning families with highly responsive parents. A friend of mine who's normally just this kind of parent is definitely not at the moment. So this kind of made me wonder, could this be happening elsewhere, perhaps even in the homes of children we work with? Is it possible many children are experiencing high levels of stress at the moment, not just those previously identified as vulnerable or at risk? I guess this is a really important thing to consider when preparing for children to return to the service, which according to some may be not too far away. Experiences of stress can occur in many different ways and can have vastly different impacts on young children. But if you're familiar with brain research, you will know stress has a dramatic impact on the brain. Primarily, it activates the fight or flight response, which of course helps keep us safe and helps us survive. Children who experience significant stress can become sensitive to this response, which means they can become hyperactivated. And this is something really important to consider when planning for children's return to the service, because if the brain is now in a hyperactivated state, the child's brain often reacts like they are in danger, even when participating in an everyday activity or routine. They might become triggered. Of course, all children will behave differently when triggered. Some may withdraw, others might have difficulty with their learning or their communication or their relationships, and others might even engage in behaviours that may cause harm to themselves or others. To help you plan in order to minimise triggering and support children who may have experienced stress during COVID, it might be helpful to draw on the tree of development, which is also attached to this email, and I often use this in my consultancy. The tree and its different parts, including the roots, the trunk, and the branches, and the leaves, represent the different stages of life. The roots are obviously early childhood, and we know early childhood is where children develop firm roots to stand strong in the future and also to cope with stress as well, such as now and in the future. If you look at the diagram, you'll get some ideas about the stages of learning and the support children will need to help them grow and to flourish. For example, In early childhood, they need emotionally and physically safe environments and the relationships that nurture this. The reason I think the tree is useful for a useful planning tool is because it also helps you to consider what might be inappropriate. For example, I wonder what might happen if I planned for experiences that are further up the tree, in say the tops of the branches. And if children weren't emotionally strong, maybe learning experiences that require refined skills in problem solving, communication, and maybe fine motor, say perhaps in the context of a group time. I wonder what the result might be. I think it might be, and I suspect it might cause stress, and it could be triggering as children don't have the foundational skills and the stability in there yet to support them. I'm not saying you shouldn't plan for high-level experiences. Instead, I'm asking you to consider where children might be at and what would be in their best interests when they return. Maybe your program will focus on relationships and communication, and your practice might involve spending lots of quality time with children as they play and as they build secure relationships. You might plan to spend lots of time helping children to manage their emotions. You might read social stories about emotions and teach breathing strategies, perhaps, strategies to cope. You might focus on teaching children how to be a good friend and teaching them what this actually looks like. You might spend lots of time involved in children's play, supporting them to learn how to negotiate their needs in relation to others. Maybe modelling what to say and what to do. And this might include also preempting problems and pointing out the issues and supporting children to come up with solutions that are good for everyone. You might focus on teaching children how to request what they want in pro-social ways so they can maintain their relationships with their peers. You might plan to spread children out across the space to maximise calm and to minimise noise. You might provide lots of sensory and open-end play experiences, and of course offer some downtime during the day for children to relax. These are just a few of the ideas you might put in place to provide support and environments and relationships for children when they return to the service. I'll finish with some theory. You may remember Broford Brenner's theory of development. In simple terms, this theory suggests that development is a result of multiple levels of interaction between the individual or the child and their social environments. Basically, this theory tells us that our interactions and our relationships with children matter, especially right now. How we interact with children, our responsiveness, and the types of relationships that we have with children means a lot. And most importantly, when we help them to feel safe and secure and supported, they will then grow in confidence and the confidence to explore and to learn. I hope this video has helped with some pathways forward and some practice ideas as you begin the process of getting ready for all children to return to the service after COVID. Thanks for your time.